If you drive on the M25, the M1, the M6, or any smart motorway in the UK, this affects you directly. And if you don't use those roads regularly, stay with me, because some of these changes apply to every single road in England and Wales, and the fines are going out automatically, without a single police officer pulling anyone over. Millions of drivers are already breaking these rules right now without realizing it. And the enforcement system does not need to stop you. It just needs to see you. Before we go any further, subscribe. These rules are changing faster than most drivers can keep up with, and missing even one update can cost you hundreds of pounds and points on your license. Let's be clear about the scale of this. There are over 40 million licensed drivers in the UK. The M25 alone is used by hundreds of thousands of people every single day. And right now, changes to how motorways are enforced, what cameras can detect, and what penalties you face mean that ordinary, careful drivers are being caught out in ways they simply did not expect. This isn't about dangerous driving. This isn't about racing down the outside lane at 100 miles an hour. Drivers in 2026 are most commonly fined for everyday mistakes rather than serious or dangerous driving. That's what makes this so important. These are people who think they're driving perfectly normally, and a notice arrives in the post days later. The first and biggest change involves the cameras on smart motorways, and specifically how they now enforce speed limits that most drivers don't even realize are active. On smart motorways, the cameras linked to gantry signs enforce whatever speed limit is currently displayed, and that limit can change within seconds at the press of a button by operators at a regional traffic control center. So here's the problem. You join the M25, the limit shows 70, you settle in. 30 seconds later, a control room operator drops that limit to 50 because of congestion building 2 miles ahead that you haven't even reached yet. You're still doing 65. You've just been caught and you had no idea. The variable speed limit enforced is whichever limit was displayed at the time you passed beneath the gantry, even if the limit shown on the next gantry ahead was different. That is the detail that catches people, not the speed you were doing overall, the speed you were doing at that exact point under that exact sign. Now let's talk about the cameras themselves, because most drivers picture a yellow box on a pole. That is not what's watching you on a smart motorway. The cameras used on the M25 and many other smart motorways are Haddox 3 systems, manufactured by Redflex Traffic Systems. They're mounted on overhead gantries above each lane, and a single gantry can house up to 4 or 5 individual camera units, each targeting a separate lane simultaneously. Every lane, every vehicle, all at once. Both systems operate digitally, transmitting offense data directly to a remote processing center. There is no film. There is no delay while someone develops photographs. The moment you exceed the displayed limit under that gantry, the data is sent. The notice follows. And here's what most people don't realize. Changing lanes makes no difference. While older speed cameras could be tricked by changing lanes, more advanced cameras now use multiple sets of cameras at each point to track all lanes and compare average speeds. If you think moving from lane 2 to lane 1 resets the calculation, it doesn't. Let's look at what this actually looks like in practice. A driver traveling through long-term roadworks on the M25 stayed just a few miles per hour over the posted limit. Because the road used average speed cameras, a fine arrived by post days later, despite no police stop at the time. No lights, no sirens, no officer waving them over. They drove home thinking nothing had happened. Then the letter arrived. The lesson? You will not know you've been caught at the time. That's the point. The system records, processes, and posts, and you find out when the fine lands on your doormat. So what does it actually cost you? Exceeding a variable speed limit carries exactly the same penalties as any other speeding offense. A minimum £100 fixed penalty fine and 3 penalty points on your license. But that's the minimum. Ban C convictions. The most serious force offenders into court, where financial penalties can reach up to 175% of weekly wage, capped at £2,500 for motorway incidents. And then there's your insurance. A speeding conviction, even a minor one, typically adds hundreds of pounds to your annual premium. Over 3 years, that initial £100 fine can quietly cost you far more than you ever expected. New drivers within 2 years of passing their test face automatic license revocation at 6 points, and the penalty cannot currently be taken as a speed awareness course alternative. So for younger or newer drivers, one mistake on the M25I, one moment under the wrong gantry at the wrong limit, could mean losing the license entirely. But that's only the beginning. Because speed cameras on the motorway are only one part of what's changed. There's another system now rolling out, and this one catches drivers for something most people assumed they were getting away with completely. The second change: AI phone and seatbelt cameras. This is the change almost nobody is talking about, and it's the one that's going to shock the most people. AI traffic cameras are now being deployed across the UK that can detect whether drivers are holding a mobile phone and whether seatbelts are fastened for both the driver and passengers. These aren't cameras looking for number plates. They're looking through your windscreen. The technology was trialed in Devon and Cornwall from 2022, and following its success, national highways and police forces across England extended the trial, with forces including Thames Valley, Sussex, Durham, Humberside, Norfolk, Northants, Wiltshire, West Mercia, and Staffordshire all taking part. As of 2026, mobile phone detection cameras are now operational at 14 locations across England and Wales, and the expansion is continuing. Here's what this means in practice. You're in slow-moving traffic on the M25. You pick up your phone for 10 seconds to check a message at a standstill. An AI camera positioned on a gantry or bridge photographs the interior of your car, analyzes the image, identifies the device in your hand, and flags it automatically. You drive home. The notice follows. If caught using a handheld phone while driving, you'll receive 6 penalty points and a £200 fine. And in court, fines can reach up to £1,000 or £2,500 for lorry or bus drivers. This is the part most drivers miss. You're not allowed to use your phone when queuing in traffic. Holding your device in any way, even if you're supervising a learner driver, is illegal. And it's now illegal whether the device is on airplane mode or not. That loophole is gone completely. There's another problem, and the next change catches even more people, including drivers who have never had a single point on their license. The third change: intelligent speed assistance. All new cars sold in the UK from July 2026 must be fitted with intelligent speed assistance, known as ISA, as standard. ISA uses GPS data and camera recognition to identify the speed limit on the road you're driving and warn you or actively slow the vehicle if you exceed it. Now, many drivers will assume this means they're automatically protected, that the car will keep them legal. It doesn't. ISA does not provide a legal defense for speeding. If you override the system and are caught by a speed camera, the normal penalty applies, regardless of whether ISA was fitted or active, and many drivers will override it, because ISA can be switched off, because it sometimes reads the wrong speed limit, because drivers don't fully understand what it does. That's the danger. A driver in a new car assuming the technology is protecting them, while it's been switched off or overridden or misread the sign, getting caught the same way anyone else would. The car won't save you. The fine still comes. Future impact. Here's where this matters long term. One of the most significant proposed reforms involves income-linked fines. Rather than a flat penalty, fines for serious offenses would be calculated as a percentage of weekly income, a model already used in parts of Europe. That means a driver earning £60,000 a year could face a fine many times larger than the standard £100 for the exact same offense. The government's stated aim is proportionality, ensuring the fine actually hurts, regardless of your income. And then there's insurance. Every conviction sits on your license for 4 years. Every renewal in that period, every comparison site, every insurer, they see it. For many drivers, the real cost of a single speeding conviction on the M25 isn't the fine. It's the £300 or £400 added to their premium year after year for the next 4 years. The Department for Transport estimates around 300,000 professional drivers could need refresher training in 2025 and 2026 as a direct result of these changes, meaning this isn't just affecting private motorists. Delivery drivers, lorry drivers, taxi drivers, Anyone whose living depends on that license is under more pressure than ever. Let's go through everything quickly. Change 1. Smart motorway variable speed cameras on the M25 and other motorways are enforcing limits that change within seconds. The limit on the sign at the moment you pass under it is the limit you're being held to, not the one you saw 30 seconds earlier. Change 2. AI cameras are now active at 14 locations and expanding, detecting mobile phone use and missing seatbelts through your windscreen automatically without any officer present. Queuing in traffic is not a defense. Airplane mode is not a defense. Change 3. From July 2026, all new cars must carry intelligent speed assistance, but switching it off or overriding it provides no legal protection. The camera doesn't care what your car was doing. It records what you were doing. Change 4. Penalties are increasing and income-linked fines may follow. The financial consequences of a single mistake on the motorway are growing, not just immediately, but for years afterwards through insurance costs. Change 5. For new drivers, anyone within 2 years of passing their test, 6 points means losing the license completely. And under these new rules, 6 points can happen faster than most people realize. The enforcement system doesn't need to pull you over. It doesn't need to be visible. It reads your number plate. It photographs your hands. It records your speed under every single gantry. It checks your insurance, your MOT, your tax stats in seconds. It sends the notice, and by the time you know you've been caught, you've already been home for a week. If this helped you, subscribe because these rules will keep changing and you need to know about them before they cost you money. Hit the like button, leave a comment below letting me know which of these changes you weren't aware of, and most importantly, share this with someone you know who drives on the M25 or any smart motorway. They may not know, and that letter lands whether they do or not.